The PlayStation 1. I really love playing this bad boy nowadays. But even also school is playing some original games. What if I tell you there is an Ultimate Edition? Then we can just slap in an SD card. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So, let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So recently I picked up this PlayStation with an SD function. It's also called the X-Station. And I came across this thing secondhand market and I was more like, damn, I need to review this thing and I just want to have it in my collection and just to see is this thing like worth picking up. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so I didn't modify it, it was just like it is. And I don't know who modified it, if the seller modified it, I have no idea to be honest. It was a reseller who was selling this device, maybe somebody traded it in. But in the end, like you can find a lot of these PlayStation ready and modified this way. But let me know in the comments, what do you think of the modification? Do you like it or do you think it's like quite pointless? There are some things that I think are like pointless, for example this plastic over here. Because normally we're going to get the disc spinning in here and that looks pretty damn awesome. But yeah, we're not going to get any disc unit. I think that is the biggest, I say, the con of this system. What I like about it, this thing looks awesome. And they got even like this adapter so you can plug in your SD card fairly easy. But the downside is, like, I think a hybrid system is one of the best ways to go to. I think it's pretty damn awesome, this way to play games. Also tried it with the Sega Saturn and also Sega Dreamcast. By the way, like these things are coming out for every single system. There are some downside to this. For example, you need to have a mod chip, what I understand of. But that's not like the biggest problem. The other thing is we don't have a disk drive already mentioned now. And yeah, I really prefer to have like the option to play original games and also have the option to use an SD card. So that's I think the biggest downside. But there's also an important thing to this. Okay, so you can use all kinds of SD cards. I recommend using a very fast one. But what I like about this is like when you plug it in your PC, it's going to be super easy adding games. It's just drag and drop with ISO files. You don't need any programs, what I understand of. So that is something that is very convenient to do. But in the end, what you're going to get is something really convenient. And if you just want to preserve your games and you want to swap the disc anymore, this is just super easy to do. This thing still uses the original PSU and I do like it. Like it's cool that you can look into the inside here. And yeah, modifications can be done fairly easy. It's just hot swappable and you can pick them up from AliExpress very easy. But when you're looking at all of these things, so far I understand there is no LED function or something like that. That would be even cooler if you ask me. Like the way how they made this is pretty damn awesome. And what I understand is all acrylic. I did have one of these devices back in the day with a modification, with a window, but it was out of glass. It's of course the question how far you want to go when it comes to modification, but I'm just going to be honest, I'm a sucker to these things. I love when people customize it and make it really unique. And I'm very glad to have this X-Station version in my collection now. So in this version I picked it up from a seller who made these, like with no, let's say extra windows, just a basic typical window in here, and then we're going to get a window in here for the PSU and also here, but that makes no sense because there is nothing in here to watch. So at the back we're going to get all the connections because this model is the 5000 edition and the later models don't have the parallel port anymore, but we still have the option to link with another PlayStation with the AV out and of course the original input or the normal AC in. So let's boot up the bad boy and we'll show you what happens. So just going to boot up and basically that you're going to put a game in, so we're going to get the first two intros. Pure nostalgia. Here it comes. And that's it. And now it will boot up into the X-Station menu. Okay, so the menu is quite basic and there is nothing much to see over here. So basically what you can do at the bottom, you can see like full load, we're having the fast load. Then we're going to get the option for multi-disc and we can press by the triangle. We're going to have the options. And here we're going to get the options for the video mode that we can put it out. So if you're having like different kind of images. Here we're going to get on power, on run, stuff like that. The last game you can check out if it goes back to the loader. The list background, so you can see that you can change out the color. I personally love the dark color. Then we're going to get the theme. Here we can change out the full theme. And the folder browsing is even possible to set it on yes. So here you can see that we do have like a lot of options, but at the same time we do have like options so we just need for playing your image files. So just drag and drop and allow boot up on game. Basically we're going to load it up in the fast, pressing the X. Here we're going to boot it up in the fast way. so we can almost like play the games very quickly. But also like when you load up a game, it will take a couple of seconds, but it doesn't take like forever. Another option I really love about the X-Station is the browser function of the folders. If you're going to make yourself different folders on your SD card. So here you can see loader files, you don't need to basically use these. But here we can go into, let's say you want to play a flying game, you can open up the folder very easy and can navigate through the games you have put in there. And that is an option that I personally really love about this. So it makes it easier, otherwise you're going to get this big pile of a list. But let's talk about the loading times, but there we're going to get some significant differences. So let's start a game. Normally we need like the wait to the loading screen will be like to the 100%, but you can see like it doesn't even go up to 50% and it instant loads. So that is like a significant difference when it comes to the games. So when it comes to loading times, also here we're going to get a minor advantage. And all of the games will play like an original video game. And I think it's like a really awesome way just to play your games, and it is super convenient. And of course the different region games are no problem whatsoever. Okay, so the previous part we tried out a US game. So let's try a basic PAL game. And as you can see, it runs flawlessly. Or, like he said, perfect. Okay, so I talked about how this thing actually works, and I must say I'm surprised. But let's take this bad boy apart. Alright, so this is what we're going to get in the inside, or better said, these are the parts for the PlayStation 1 X-Station. But let's do a quick overview of all the parts, and let's take a close look how you need to assemble the X-Station. The soldering part already have been done because I bought it secondhand from somebody else. So this thing does use the original power supply. There's nothing wrong with it, but there are nowadays like really great kits that you can plug in and you can basically use an external power supply. That's very convenient if you're living in a different region and you want to like and use a different kind of system. Here we're going to get the EO shielding, and yeah, we needed doing this assembly. And what you can see over here, there were no modification done there. It's just original EO shielding. It's slightly filthy, but here you can see like also here there were no modification done. So when it comes to the X-Station, you don't need to do any modification to the shell itself at the bottom part. But let's talk about the mainboard itself, because there are some modifications needed. So here you can see like the previous owner installed already X-Station. So there are some soldering needed. But the way they made it is quite genius. Here you can see like they have like the soldering blobs over here and everything have been assembled fairly nice. And basically the ribbon cable goes at the front, and this will be connecting with the other part or the PCB that is needed for putting the SD card in. Okay, so this is the PCB that goes on top. Here we're going to connect the ribbon cable, the input for the SD, or better said the micro SD. And here we're going to get the chip where all the magic happens. So there's nothing really special over here. And yeah, it's a bummer because when it comes to these devices, you need to do soldering. Compared with the Dreamcast version, you can just basically plug and play. Super easy to do. Okay, so that was the quick overview of the parts. Let's do an assemble and let's put the thing back together so we can play actually some games and talk about what I think of it. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is putting the mainboard back in. It's going to be easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay, be very careful with the ribbon cable. And let's align all the holes so we can put this thing in its place. So the first thing that we need to do is putting in the 4 first screws, or better said Parkers. Okay, so the next step is going to be slightly difficult because we need to assemble the EO shielding, and the previous owner basically like slide it in here. You need to be very careful that you're not going to mess up the ribbon cable, because the EO shielding can be sharp on some edges. Okay, so let's put the EO shielding in place. Doesn't like squeeze or blocks the ribbon cable. And the next thing that we need to do is putting some Parkers in. Okay, so let's put these bad boys in. And I must say, like, the EO shielding is getting in position. Alright, so what I do like about this machine is that we're going to get the black controller ports, because that looks way better than normal. The only thing I'm noticing is like, I don't know what they're doing over there, like they used kind of glue or something, so it looks kind of weird that they put some plastic in here. I don't know exactly what's going on, but they did some modifications in this part. So let's plug it back in, let's do a couple of screws and let's go. Okay, so let's assemble the power supply. That is the next one that we're going to need. I'm still going to use the original one. Maybe in the future I will upgrade it with a different one, just the one that you can pick up from AliExpress, but for now it will do okay. Okay, so let's do the quick assemble here, because this is super easy. The only thing that we need to do is assemble the two Parkers. And then when everything is assembled, let's plug in the cable itself. Alright, always double check this one too. Okay, so we're going to get the 3 pins over here. And so what I understand of, you need to assemble it like so. And I'm not a big fan of it. And the reason why, because it just sits in like this. It's not the best way, but it is a way to assemble. But with the Dreamcast, it fits better. And I must say, like, maybe they can add it and support over here. But yeah, what we need to do is that we're going to assemble the ribbon cable. This is always going to be very funny, especially when everything has been non-folded. But in this case, everything has been folded, so let's plug it in. Let's click it, and we're ready to go. Okay, so always double check everything has been set in place, and we're ready to go. So I already told you everything has been like fitted, because I did an disassembly and not an assemble. So this is not the first time they put it back together. Okay, so everything has been set like this. And the next thing is this 3D printed part. So the 3D printed part looks kind of nice from the top over here, kind of glossy. I like it, to be honest. So the quality is just it's just nice. They did already some modifications here, so this thing fits the PCB perfectly. It does need to be sitting on top like this, but of course the first thing that we need to do is we need to put the ribbon cable under here, because we're going to plug it in. Because this is basically like just an extender for the micro SD card. It's super convenient. Okay, sitting in perfectly. It's going to be tricky. Alright, let's plug it in like that, and that's it, and it fits in perfectly. Alright guys, so when you're looking at the way how they assembled this, it looks amazing in my opinion, and he did an amazing job when it comes to the 3D printing. But let's take a close look at the top case, because that is just the final part of this adventure. So what he did, like when you looked at my previous build, or the build I just bought, he only uses one, let's say it wasn't glass piece, and this time they're using plexi. And here you can see like there are even different levels of plexi. He did an amazing job with this, and again, like it would be even more better if they used a disk drive in it. Maybe I will do a rebuild. I will put this case in something else, but I find it a little bit of a bummer, because you're just looking at this now, and there is no like extra value to this. Okay, so next up what we need to do is complete this assemble, is putting the freaking Parkers in. That's the only thing to do. We need to squeeze it here and there, because it still has a little bit struggle putting the two shells together. And we're ready to go, putting all of the Parkers in, and we can just complete the assembly. I would say, like, disassemble these things are super easy. Yeah. Alright guys, so this is what we're going to get with the X-Station. It's not the same method that we have seen, for example, with the Sega Dreamcast or the Sega Saturn. The idea is the same, but you still need to do more effort with some soldering required, and the option is not very cheap. Yeah, I'm hoping in the future there will be some different solutions that are like plug and play. We'll see. For now, the X-Station, I really love this piece of hardware, especially they can just basically add your ISO files to the SD card, plug it in and play your games. Let me know in the comments what do you think of this. I want to thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit that little bell, and we'll see you in the next video.